Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Matt Geiger, and today we're going to be talking about, um, we're going to be talking about the Ashley Babbitt killer and how he's linked to Maduro, and they've both been receiving money and fraud from all the cartels. Now, just before we begin, I want to say that we're on YouTube, so I just want to put a disclaimer there that everything we're talking about is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We're not making any claims. Please do your own research. And also, we're not financial advisors. We're just speculating, speaking opinions, and we're just giving our truth. But please do your own research. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. How are you? And happy birthday. It was yesterday. How was it?
Thank you, Nick. It was great, man. We had a lot of great I call them my soul family. They all came out, a bunch of people from out of town. It was too bad. Lewis was supposed to make it, but he's doing more important stuff on the campaign. So I told him, don't worry about it. He told me he's sending me a gift. I told him, it better be something nice. So that's about it.
Oh, wow. He never gives me a gift. I've got to speak to him. No, I'm only joking. But no, that's amazing. I'm glad you had an amazing birthday.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, isn't there?
Bro.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you're saying that the killer of Ashley Babbitt on January the 6th and Maduro are connected. Well, why don't I just...
No, they're not connected. So we're seeing. Yeah, let me rephrase, because when you said that at the beginning, I'm like, it wasn't exactly that, but
that's why you were smiling.
We've seen this Somali fraud in Michigan, and it's going to be other groups and ethnicities, including white people. It's not even just the Somalis, although they do have a tendency to be pirates. We saw the fraud with the daycare centers, right, and the healthcare centers in Minnesota, right, and that's spreading like wildfire to they're finding stuff in Ohio now, New York, Massachusetts, and the fraud that they're finding in these other states is just absolutely massive. But what I found was Gateway Pundit reported yesterday. I don't see how this is not the biggest story on the front page of every news. This is why I love Jim and Joe. I've never met Joe Hoff, but I've met Jim several times. But a great guy. But the Officer Byrd from January 6th, because of course yesterday my birthday is of course January 6th. The Officer Byrd, the one that shot and killed Ashley Babbitt, turns out he's been running an unaccredited daycare center in Maryland. And HHS has funded his daycare center with he's running it out of his house, $190 million. It's almost $250 million that they're just giving this guy. Why is that? Because they probably paid him, allegedly, this is just my guess, January 6th, they probably paid him off to keep his mouth shut, whatever. Right. So all this fraud's being uncovered. You're going to continue to see these stories. I mean, there was another lady, I forget her name, but it was in the news. She was taking COVID relief funds, right? She was laundering COVID relief funds. So all this fraud's coming out. And I've been telling people, and I've been going on shows telling people, this fraud is just going to continue. It's going to just continue to reveal what's been really going on in the system. And I think what this is going to eventually segue is it's going to segue into what's going on in the banks.
Yeah, of course. And the system is collapsing, and all the fraud's going to come out, and it's all like 3D. All of this stuff is the 3D stuff, and then people are going to realize that their whole life has been a lie, or most of it. All this social conditioning, and you've got to go school, university, get married, have babies, and work 9 to 5, and we're following a script where we're supposed to be following what our hearts want, because we all have a different path, okay? And I really believe that we all have different missions, purposes, paths, and we have to be connected within to follow that. And you're right, it's all going to be exposed, all the fraud, and people are going to be questioning, well, was this a lie? Because I trusted the healthcare system. I trusted the government. I trusted Obama. I trusted all of these, 3-letter agencies as well. But really, it's all crumbling down. Even the banks, they're going to be falling down, collapsing. And then you wonder, is my mortgage even, legit? Is that going, what do you think is going to happen about that with all the mortgages? Do you think they're still going to continue? Because I always I've always imagined someone like Warren Buffett is going to bail them out.
It's illegal. I mean, what the plan was for the banks to basically pull back on home loans BlackRock to come in, take ownership, right? And you'll own nothing and be happy. That was their sick plan. It's not going to work, obviously. We've already won that. But yeah, I mean, mortgages, I think, just the lending practices have to be, it could be anything. Lending practices in general by these banks. Because they're chartered, they get to access money for nothing and then sell it to us at, whatever, 7%. It's totally illegal. And I think when people start to realize what life could be, and I think that's the beauty of Trump, is what I love most about Trump is he's showing us what life could be, what things could be like if we really wanted them that way. Because we the people, we have all the power, right? I mean, take for example, and this is something everybody should start to think about. And the way my brain works is, it's not that I'm so smart, is that I take things that I see and just kind of extrapolate on them. It's like, okay, how does this apply, right? And look at what Trump did. He raised what this year? He's not even in office a full year. Let's call it a full year. He's raised what, $25 trillion in tariffs and new money. How much is the income tax revenue every year? 4.5 trillion. So Trump just showed us he could raise 25 trillion, more than 6 times what they take from us in income tax. Okay, just through smart business moves and trade and good business acumen as from our leadership, right? These are the people we need to put into power. Smart business people, people that know how to make a great deal, right? As he always says about his negotiators when he campaigned in 2016, he says, these are ruthless, disgusting, nasty people. But you know what? You wouldn't want to have dinner with them, but they love the country and they're going to go work on behalf of the country. And those are the people I want. I want the most ruthless SOBs going and making deals on behalf of the United States, because Trump just showed us you don't need to tax people. All you have to do is have smart leadership in there and everything else will get done. We'll have more money than we'll ever need. There won't be poverty. There won't be homelessness. The whole problem will be, so we could solve homelessness with $20 billion. $20 billion would solve homelessness in this country. Mm-hmm. That's the number. So that's the future we have coming. And it's glorious. It's glorious.
So who do you think's running now for Venezuela? What's going to happen now that Maduro's gone?
Well, Trump said it on Air Force One. They said, who's in control of Venezuela? He says, you know the answer. You know the answer. He said, we're running Venezuela. We're taking their oil. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take their oil. We're going to sell it.
Do you think he's going to make Venezuela the Venezuela States of America?
I hope so. Yeah. What he's doing, we've been talking about this for a long time, Nick. He's strengthening the hemisphere. Europe's lost. We got to get you over here to the United States somehow. Europe's lost. Europe just absolutely destroyed itself. Things need to be sorted out in our hemisphere. We need to clean up Venezuela. He talked about Mexico, right? We're going after Mexico. He's treading lightly right now, but we're there. We're taking out the cartels. Brazil, we got to get down there, get Brazil fixed. The whole South America. Then I think last up will be Canada. I think we're going to sort out Canada.
Absolutely. And a lot of people think, why doesn't Trump just worry about America? Why is he going here and why is he going there and worrying about other countries? But the way I see it is, before Trump was ever president, all of these people running all these countries are owned by elites, globalist elites, the 1%. Okay. And what Trump is doing is he is slowly dismantling all of these deep state players that have been part of this chessboard matrix for about 100 years, probably a lot longer. And that's what he's doing. And what do you think about that?
We'll take Maduro. This is what we meant to say about Maduro. Maduro directly links our politicians to the cartels, right? So in other words, our politicians have been taking payments from the cartels, and Maduro is going to be the proof and the link of that. That we're going to have him in court saying, "Yeah, we've been paying X, Y, and Z politicians through the drug cartels. They've been on the dole the whole time." Okay, and it's going to expose these guys. We know this. This is a sting operation. It's an exposure process.
I like so
that. I love it. We're going to start to see the direct ties between U.S. politicians and probably U.S. corporations and businesses in the cartels, and they've been paying them off. They've been paying them off to do what they tell them to do. They're all blackmailed. They got to go, and it's time to kick everybody out of Congress. Let's go Brunson case. It's time to kick them out of Congress, and let's go reset this country and the world. 1776 worldwide, baby.
I love that. No, I love that. It's a domino effect. I'm very positive about 2026. And as Trump is destabilizing the deep state and the control grid, On the other side, on the spiritual side, we've got people waking up again, questioning reality, and their consciousness alone is obviously having a big shift in human consciousness, awareness in the matrix, which also has a metaphysical contribution to the collapse of the control grid, meaning you can see through the lies, through the scripts, and they're not getting away with it anymore. So there's a lot at play here. There's 3D and 5D going on at the same time here. And with all this happening, we've got silver and gold going up because this Maduro arrest, I've noticed XRP, Bitcoin, and heavy metals have gone up a little bit. Do you want to speak on that and why you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, first off, how is silver going up to 80? It pulled back to 78 today. I see the demand. My phone is ringing all day, all day. I've been working 12, 13-hour days. There's a lot of people that have called me. I'm still getting back to them. And I like these pullbacks. Everybody should love these pullbacks. But how is that possible? You have nothing but demand. Everybody calling in for, especially silver, and the price pulls back $2. It makes no sense. It's manipulation. Silver and per ounce in China right now. China is selling silver not at $80 an ounce. They're selling at $130 an ounce and more. So now you're starting to see what you're really seeing is you're seeing the separation of the paper price and the physical price. Now you're seeing what countries really have the supply. The United States clearly has very good supply because we're probably the cheapest silver around the world right now. And that has to do with our inventory. These other countries, China, Europe, there's not that much silver to go around. We're very fortunate that we have silver supply here. So,
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say that, it makes no sense that the price would even move down. There's, when you have demand like this, you see it in toy stores. I remember during Christmas as a kid, there'd be some toy that, would be really popular, whatever item, and there'd be huge demand. Everybody would buy it off the shelves and then people would sell it for 10 times the price. That's what should be happening with silver. Silver should be 500, 1,000 an ounce right now, but it's not because so take advantage of these windows of opportunity, knowing that, hey, at some point it probably will. And look, I don't have a crystal ball and I don't like to predict prices, but at some point this stuff is probably going to be $500, $1,000 an ounce.
Well, you say you don't want to predict prices, but let's be logical here. Back in the 60s or 70s, silver was at $68. Yes. And it was suppressed massively. Now, if we convert $68 back then with inflation today, you are right. That is around 500 and something dollars per ounce. So, and then you've got to add on whatever the difference is on top of that with all the evolution that we've had or that's been suppressed. But at least $500 an ounce. What do you think about that analysis?
100%. I think we're going to see 500. Sorry, I'm letting my dog out. Absolutely, $500 an ounce is more than realistic. I mean, I've seen predictions of silver, 10,000, whatever. And you know what? I never thought that would have been possible. I always thought it's like just a little bit ridiculous, But I'm looking at this situation now. I'm realizing this is totally possible. All these people are coming off. I'm seeing, because what I get to see is I get to see the consumer market, right? I work in the retail space. So I get to see the consumer market coming off the sidelines where people are saying, hey, I should have done this years ago. FOMO, they see silver hitting 80. They want to get in the market. Good for them. They're finally seeing the light. Mm-hmm. Because really, at the end of the day, I think what you need is a very strong and robust metals market, so that if we're going to transition our economy and our monetary system to the precious metals, which is probably what we're going to be doing, you need to have a silver price at probably a couple $100, gold price at maybe 5 or 10,000, right? You need to have those prices because we got to get those market caps as high as possible before we take all this money, right? People's money, and move it over into the system. So it's what I'm witnessing. It's actually really interesting, Nick, and I almost want to write a book on it. But being that I've been in this business for like 12 years, I've been seeing the awakening process in just by virtue of the precious metals market. And I get to talk to people about, their awakening experience while at the same time protecting their money. So it's actually really, I used to bring up a lot of this stuff, 5-10 years ago, and people thought I was crazy. Nowadays, it's like, it's what we talk about on these phone calls. It's less about the gold and the silver. It's more about, hey, what do you see happening in the next couple of months? I think that this fraud is going to think about the fraud we're seeing. It's so mind blowing that I think by April 15th, when everybody's getting ready to pay their income taxes, I think they're going to turn around and be like, fraud. No, thanks. We'll just wait to see what happens here. That's
Yeah.
what I think that Trump is discrediting the system. He's discrediting the politicians. And I love to see it because we know these guys are pieces of trash, all of them, every single one of them, Republican and Democrat.
Let's talk about the 401ks and the IRAs, how people have just their money in there, the fiat currency in there,
Yeah.
and it's devaluing every single day. And they think that they're doing a service to themselves, but actually, you're not. And gold is going up so high, silver is going up so high. We should have all our money that we are saving for our futures in gold and silver, because that's the only way you're going to go against the system. It's evident in the numbers, and that's the best way to hedge inflation, where you can liquidate immediately, have it physical in your hand, rather than a property, for an example, that you have contracts included and people and maintenance, and gold is the best. So why don't you tell us what you do, how you help the people? And there's a lot of people that are very happy with what you've done for them, and I thank you for that. And of course, Lewis Helms was the one that connected you to me, and again, I thank Lewis. But please tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we want people to protect their money from effectively. I've identified it as three things. It's your risk of money in the banks. We don't know what's going to happen with these banks. We don't know what their solvency is. I think they're insolvent. All right. I remember back in 2019 when Trump was president in his first term, Trump had to infuse tremendous amount. It went off the radar. No one even heard about it, but he infused like I think it might have been even trillions of dollars into the banks just to keep them liquid. He didn't want the banking crisis at that time. It should have already happened, but he didn't want it at that particular time. So he effectively bailed out the banks in late 2019, and no one ever heard about it. So you want to get your money out of these banks. Secondly, is you want to get it out of these markets. These markets, okay, look, markets are going to be a great place, just not right now. They're at all-time highs. Pull back, protect the money, store the value of your money. That's what you're doing with gold and silver. You're storing the value. Get out of these markets. The markets are going to be reset. We're going to have a completely new stock market. We're going to have a completely new everything. Get out of these markets while you can. And thirdly is, most importantly, is the monetary system. Get out of the Federal Reserve System. Get out of the fiat dollar, right? The dollar is right now is just fiat. The dollar is going to be very different in the future. The dollar's not going away. It's just going to have a new shape and form. And that's going to be through the Treasury. Right. So you want to protect yourself against those three things. And with the IRA and 401k, of course, what do I offer? Well, you can use a standard depository, nothing wrong with that. But hey, you want to take possession of your IRA gold and silver? I can do that for you. I'm probably one of the only people in the industry that can actually do a self-storage IRA. Okay. And the reason I do that is because I want people to have options, right? I think like I said, depositories are fine. I think you're totally safe there, especially with Trump in as president. But if you want to store this stuff yourself, we can absolutely manage that. So I think it's about protecting the money, living to fight another day. Because, let's say somebody's got a $200,000 IRA. Okay. You stick it into gold and silver. Okay. Gold and silver do whatever they do. Fine. Great. Maybe you make a lot of money, whatever the case is. But when those markets reopen and we have new everything, you want to reinvest that money back into the country. We're all going to be reinvesting in America because America is going to be where you want to put your money. And at that time, that's where you could take your retirement plan and exponentially grow it just by moving your money into gold and silver now so that you can take advantage of those opportunities at the right time. People that stay in the fiat system and stay in this nonsensical deep state system, they're probably going to lose their money for a period of time. Right. There's going to be a major scare of it. And I just tell people, I caution people, hey, don't even play into this stuff. Get your money into safety, right? Let it sit there. Let gold and silver do what they do. I think they're only going up. I mean, what do I know? But I think they're only going up. I think we'll see multiples on gold and silver prices. And then at the right time, you redeploy that back into the system and you've multiplied your money many times over.
Absolutely. And of course, the inflation, I mean, we see, $1 will always be $1 to the average person, but little do they know, because of inflation, $1 is not actually no longer $1 in 10 years' time, or even recently, every year, they're just devaluing it so much. But to us, to the average person, it's just $1. Okay. And that's why you need more of those dollars to buy gold, because, and it's not that the price of gold is going up. It's just that we need more of those dollars to afford that
Everything else is
gold.
going down.
Yeah, and it's a scam. It's a scam.
Yeah.
So that's why we have this show, we have these platforms, because we're not telling, the mainstream media is not doing their job. The schools and education system is not doing their job. They're not telling people that you need to be buying gold. I don't ever remember my school teacher telling me that I need to buy gold, silver, and properties so that I could retire young and have a cash flow. No, they never ever told me that. And I'm disappointed. Well, no longer. But this is why we're here. And Matt, I'm going to leave your link below in the description so the viewers can have access to you and you can help them, walk them through their journey in sovereignty, freedom, and wealth.
Love it. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.